All right, everybody, welcome to the Tactical Games Podcast. My name's Nick Thayer, and I'm here with Kirt Finell.
Yay.
You become like a regular on the podcast.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Welcome into town. It's early October.
Yep.
You're here for a bunch of different things. Why don't you kind of dive into, well, before we get into what you're here for, why don't we talk about where you just came from?
Sure. Yeah. So, Hat Creek.
Yep.
Right. It is a place where dreams go to die as a long-range shooter.
But can't we, it is the coolest shooting facility in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's incredible. What you get exposure to there is, I don't know if you can replicate it just about anywhere else, just because how severe the terrain is, and the winds that you get coming through there, and then the sheer vastness of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's in the neighborhood of 5,000 acres that he has access to.
Yep.
I mean, there's probably like thousands of pieces of steel out there. I mean, it's insane. So you can you can be out there for a week straight, and you could never shoot at the same piece of steel.
Yeah.
So and then, of course you got Brian there, and he's just a wizard with what he does, and his level and depth of knowledge in that world, and all the exposure that he gets, with all the different units that come in from all around the world.
Right.
So he's truly an unbelievable wealth of knowledge. Yeah.
So talk about the competition a little bit.
Yeah. So the NASTI, the North American Sniper Team Invitational.
Yep.
It's every 2 years, for good reason, because it's a heck of a production to put on. But basically, it's invite only, and he invites the most elite teams to come in and compete. And it's basically 4 stages, and a stage will consist. You got 3-day stages, 1-night stage. And a stage will typically be anywhere from 3 to 5 miles in length, but that's not very far. But when you're out there in that type of terrain where it's just so aggressive in elevation change, I mean, one of the stages, he laughed when he said there might be ropes waiting for you on this one, and we're just like, and there sure was absolutely ropes, because it's just you get to it and you're like, really? Okay, all right. And you got to carry everything with you. Basically it's just 2-man teams. You go out, what you carry is what you got, and you show up to a stage, and you get a little book ahead of time that will have all the targets in it. So he's not playing games or tricks.
Right.
It's literally just go out there and execute, and the best shooters win. And it will challenge you in every way possible that you can imagine, just from positional work, the angles that you'll get out there. I mean, I think I probably shot up to close to 30 degrees, and it's, people are like, 30 degrees, that's not even like 45. Well, you look up at 30 degrees and it's like, oh my God, it's steep, but you can shoot 30 degrees out to, 1,200 meters.
Right.
Right. So there's a lot of variables that go on there that you don't get exposure to a lot. I certainly don't, coming from the South.
Yeah.
It's incredibly challenging, and will push your limits in so many different ways, especially when the winds get going.
Yep.
And the winds start working through those canyons and coming up or coming down, and you'll have targets that are so deep and they're shielded by certain areas, and so you'll think a wind's there and it's not, and you'll just have all these opposing forces out there that it's not impossible, because Brian can do it.
Yeah.
He rubs his little beard and makes things happen. So, but it's truly humbling to go out there and shoot at that place, especially surrounded by the caliber of people that are there shooting. So,
right.
Yeah.
What caliber did you shoot?
So I was shooting 6.5.
Yep.
Teammate was shooting 300 Norma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's 300 Norma is pretty much the standard for primary for that match?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
So one teammate has to shoot a Magnum, and the other one's a short action, basically.
Got it.
So 6.5, 260 were probably the 2 primary calibers for us, and then the Magnum guys were 300 or 338. Lapua was there as well. So, I mean, and you're going to want it with what's out there. You're trying to get that gun number as high as you can, so that the wind is out there. You're trying to fight that as much as you humanly can with the ballistics. So, and you need all the help that you can get.
But then you've got to carry that additional weight of the rifle, of the ammunition.
Yeah, I mean, it's
else.
it's a give and take, right? So out there, you're going to want to suffer a little bit more so that you can bring the equipment that can deal with the situations and scenarios that are out there. I was carrying 2 tripods, my gun, ammo, all that stuff. Kevin also had 2 tripods, right? So you got to have a spotter and
Binos, a spotting scope,
all the things, right? So kestrels, and I had a compass and inclinometer and all that kind of stuff.
The inclinometer, we saw that when we were out there.
I got one. So it's just you got to have all those tools so you can go out there and try to execute that first round impact.
Yep, that's awesome. So what was your biggest takeaway from the competition? Like, what did you learn?
Oh boy. It's the wins. The wins are the ultimate differentiator between good and great shooters.
Yep.
Being able to look out at atmospherics and understand what the wind's doing as it's moving through terrain, especially that and how angle affects those things. And you really have to be in tune to what's going on and have to be able to understand how wind works and almost kind of look at it like water, if you will. So it really challenges you in that aspect. So really being able to slow down and think about what's going on in between you and, because you've got where you are, but where these targets are, it's nothing like where you are.
1,200 meters, 1,600 meters away.
And there's, you're shooting across canyon.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes, or you're shooting down into a valley.
Straight down into a valley.
And so things are very much different from where you are to there. So you can't really you can get an idea. Okay, I've got a left to right where I am, and then you can look, okay, I can see some vegetation or I can see some mirage or whatever it is. So it really pushes you to focus on the environmentals and have a really good understanding of what your bullet is capable of doing as it moves through that environment.
Yeah.
So positional work as well. Right, getting into position quickly so that you can take the time to really sit there and observe what's going on.
Yep.
But the wind calls, man, because I'd make a wind call, and I'm confident in my wind calls. At least down in the south, I am. Where winds stay one direction. And I'd sit there and say, okay, I'm getting a left to right, and we would agree, and like, okay, I knew his data. And I'm like, all right, so you're at a gun number is almost like a 9 right now, so. I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, so give me a left 0.4, and then it would hit left 0.4, and I'm like, okay, all right, so that, and then, so now you're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Right, that shouldn't have happened.
Right.
And because we were both on the same page, and then you're like, all right, give me a right 0.2, and then it misses left 0.4 again. You're like, what? It just doesn't make any sense. So the things that are going on out there's a lot of things that just are happening that, unless you've spent an exceptional amount of time out there, like someone like Brian and some of the other guys that get to go out there and train a significant amount, it's almost kind of voodoo.
Yeah.
You just like, all right,
Well, and like you were talking about, there's specific spots around the facility where you might be sitting in an area where you're feeling almost no environmental, like you're not feeling wind, you're not, the sun's shining, it feels great. And then out across that canyon, it could be blowing at 20 or 30 miles an hour just because it's protected where you're at.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were definitely stage 1. If you remember where we stayed across the creek, we actually had to go up that face, like right there. So, you know how aggressive that was. Yeah. And so we were back in those trees shooting across that canyon. And so we were really shielded. Yeah. Like for the first 50 or 100 meters. Yeah. And so you're sitting there looking like, I don't feel anything here. And then I can look out there and I can see.
The trees are bending.
There's like stuff going on. I'm like, oh God, it's like, all right. But, and we actually had a pretty good, run on the first stage. But like on stage 3, the winds really kicked up for us. We were one of the last teams to get kicked out. And when we got up there, the guy's tripod got blown over. I'm like, this is great, and like I'm up there like trying to get into position and I'm getting blown off and like, you're just like, all right, man, left like 2 mils, then, we'll see what happens. It's like, you try to make the best educated guess that you can based on the environmentals you have. But it's truly a special place.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So in the competition, how many rounds did you fire? Roundabout?
Oh gosh. Well, embarrassingly, I brought 300 rounds and I brought home a good bit, but I think we averaged just over 2 shots per target was where we were. So, not great. The guys that won were like just over like 1.5 rounds per target, which is crazy to me how they pulled that off. They beat the second place team by like 26 points. Yeah. And it's golf score. So you get basically 5 rounds per target. And, if you hit it once, 1 point, right? If you get to 5 and you still don't hit it, well, now you get a bonus point, right?
So you get 6 instead of the 5.
Right.
Got it. So if you hit on your 5th, do you get 5?
You get 5.
Okay.
Right. So if you don't engage the target, that's when that little extra point comes in there and you get 6. That's real nice, real nice of him to do that for us, just because we already missed. It's like, just take the 5, right? No, you got to take that extra penalty with you. So, so that I think they ended up scoring like 160 something. So there's about 100 total targets.
Wow. For
all of us. So yeah, I mean, to do the score the way that they did was, dude, they were shooting lights out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So what's something that you would take away from that match that you would bring into the tactical games, competing for nationals, training for nationals? Like, what correlation did you draw from that you could put into tactical games?
Yeah, for the long, it's obviously going to help in the long range portions that we have with the nationals and with that. And so, it's having a really good understanding of, it just goes back to wind.
Yeah.
Right. So understanding environmentals, being able to look out and know what's going on and how that's going to affect my bullet as it travels downrange. So having, it takes just time. It takes time behind glass. It takes time reading environmentals and understanding, what is actually going on between you and the target. Because like I said, what you feel it where you are is not always what's happening down there. It can kind of get you a starting point, right? Okay, I've got a 6 mile per hour wind coming from the 3 o'clock here, right? And you can look around you and kind of see what's going on, like with the grass or trees or whatever you have around you, and then look down range and kind of, okay, is it same?
Yep.
Or, or is it different, right? What am I shooting across? Right? Because, as wind goes across certain surfaces, whether it's either going to speed up or slow down based upon what it's having to travel across. And if you're having to shoot across, canyons or things of that nature or really open spaces, well, that wind's going to pick up, right? So it's having a really good understanding of what's in between you and your target.
Yeah.
And how that affects the environmentals. And so it's little bitty things like that. And, building a position quickly is probably the other one. Like getting in, because, with us at the tactical games, we're on a clock.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to get in and settle in to a position that's stable enough and repeatable enough so that you can get that feedback. So if you do miss, right, you can make those corrections.
Yep.
Right. So really building a nice stable platform, because out there, like, I've got my teammate behind me on glass, but 4 eyeballs is better than 2, right? So I may see something that he doesn't. And so if I can pick up something that he may have missed or vice versa, well, because I built a good position, I can give him that. Now, there were absolutely times out there where I was like, hey, man, I'm free recoil, all right? Because it was just an awkward position. I was like, I'm not going to see anything that happens after I pull this trigger, And so, but you have to communicate that, right? Yeah. So he understands that. So he's got to make sure it's all on me, right? So, but yeah, just like, because in the positions that we may have to see at nationals or things like that, it's making sure that you've taken the time to build a good position. If you don't have a good position, reassess it. Right. Take the extra 5 seconds to reassess, 10 seconds, whatever it may take, because that better position will lend you better shots downrange and the capability to observe misses and get the splash. Okay, I was left or I was right or high or low or whatever it may be, so that you can make those corrections, because then you can run the rest of the stage with that data you just got. Whereas if you're coming off glass and you're not having a good follow through, well, now you're in trouble, right? So you may have missed, but you didn't see anything when you're just at ground zero again.
Right. No, absolutely. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've got going on this weekend while you're here right now? I mean, you're here for like forever. I feel like you're moving in, but
right. Yeah. So yeah, the long range course.
Yep. We discussed this earlier, but
yeah. Ro was unexcited about what we produced, I guess. So he's making us do it again. Yeah. No. So the long range course, it's people want to make out long range as this like mythical thing that's like, I don't understand how people are hitting targets out at 500, 600, 700 yards, meters, whatever.
It's a math problem.
Yeah, it's not really complicated once you understand it.
Right.
Once you get the tools and you get the knowledge of how to break down everything that's going on.
Yep.
It's okay. You just plug and play.
Right.
Now, there is some skill involved, obviously, when it comes to pulling the trigger, building position, and all that kind of stuff, and observing wind and things like that.
Yep.
But the guns that are made today, like, they're super capable of reaching out to those distances.
Yeah.
And as long as you're putting in good data and understand what that data means,
Right.
you can absolutely engage the targets that we're asked to engage out here. So basically, I'm just going to open the book on all the knowledge that I've gained over the years and experiences that I've had, and just share it with them and show them, you know, going from basically walking all the way to running, you know, like gun setup, ammo selection, you know, building guns in a Kestrel, what all the Kestrel can do. All right. Getting the data, truing the data. All right. Now let's go out and zero and, you know, talking about wind and understanding, you know, the ballistic coefficients and things of that nature, and how we can then take all that data and then go engage targets at range accurately.
Yep.
And we'll get into maybe some other nuances if we have time and go out there and have some fun, but, you know, just really want to make it not so scary for when people approach these long range. I've never shot out to that stage or that distance or whatever. I'm like, okay, it's fine, but it's not as terrifying as you think it is, and it's actually a lot easier than you think it is.
As long as you have the information and then the ability to process the information. So if you were talking to a new shooter wants to get into long range, there's 3 pieces of equipment that I'm going to buy that are going to help this adventure, this journey.
Yep.
What are 3 pieces of equipment you'd recommend for a new shooter?
Well, the first one, like a Kestrel, right? Or it doesn't have to necessarily be a Kestrel, but a ballistic calculator.
Yeah.
Right. A Kestrel is an incredible tool.
They're awesome.
I would say it's almost invaluable.
Yeah.
Right. So because, you know, weather matters. The atmosphere, you know, what's going on in your environment matters. And so being able to have a literal, because that's what they used to be. I got a Kestrel a long time ago, and it was just a weather station.
Yeah.
Right. So now they have applied ballistics built into these things. And it's a little mini weather station right in your hand, so you can get literal live data of what's going on at your location.
Yep.
And then you can go down a deep rabbit hole with these things on what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy, by the way, what those things can do.
Oh yeah, it's bananas. Now, I mean, especially now they've included WES into it, like
accuracy percentages and hit rate.
So I just got one at the NASTI with WES built in, and I'm starting to play with it and understanding and all that kind of stuff. So you can.
Are you programming like your hits and misses in there to see where it actually builds like a true calculation?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can do some crazy stuff with those things. So, you know, Kestrel's a huge piece of equipment.
Yep.
It's a worthy investment if being precise at long range is something you're really interested in and you want to be good at it. Like, that's probably a very valuable investment to make.
Yep.
Next after that, like, you can get away with it, but a chronograph, you know, of some sort. You know, Garmin obviously makes a great one, and there are others out there. I've used them all.
Yep.
I really like the Garmin just because it's
this big.
It's this big.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
You can set it out and just press a button and it does it.
You can mount them to your rifle now.
Yep.
I mean,
I've got them out for my rifle.
Yeah.
So because, you know, a lot of the high end shooters, that thing stays on their gun.
Right.
They're constantly seeing what their bullet's doing if they traveled somewhere.
Yeah.
Like if you travel from one place of the country to the other.
Or you're 6,000 feet higher in elevation.
Right. You're looking at all that data because it's going to change.
Yep.
Right. So, and as your rifle ages, as you put more rounds through that barrel,
speeds up.
Things are going to change.
Yep.
Right. So, and you're always taking in that data and saying, okay, because you may be getting towards the end of that barrel life.
Sure.
And it can start to show things that a chronograph can pick up, and you're like, okay, so I need to go change this barrel out, right? Because some things are happening, whatever. But so that will speed up your ability to get the data you need to put it within the Kestrel, so that you can go out and true that data, right? So that's a pretty good piece of equipment, but once again, it's something you can get around, right?
You can find a buddy that's got one,
right? Exactly. I mean, a third piece, I don't know if it would necessarily be equipment, but, you know, for me, it would be ammo selection.
Ammo makes a huge difference. I didn't appreciate that.
You know, it's like, because I see people, I worked with, you know, people from my hometown, and they show up with like a Winchester 55 grain white box.
Yeah.
and we'll go out to like 300 meters, and they're like, I don't understand why I'm hitting the target. I'm like, I see what you're shooting, you know. And look, man, I know ammo is not cheap,
Right.
But in the long range game, it's all about the stacking of tolerances, right? And we're trying to reduce that stack as much as humanly possible, and control as many of the variables as we can. And ammo is a huge one, right? So you're going to pay for what you get with ammo, and if you go the cheap route, it's capable of doing things,
right?
And you can still compete in this sport with, you know, a lower quality ammo. It's absolutely possible. But if you want to be precise, you know, when it comes to things like the grain weight of the bullet, the type of bullet, right? And you're looking at, you know, and this is where the Garmin will come in, right? Because you're looking at those, you know, standard deviations and extreme spreads of that ammo. And I've seen Winchester 55 grain white box have like almost 100 plus.
Oh yeah, I've seen 150.
You know, and that's that's a lot.
Yes.
Especially now, if you're only shooting 50, you know, yards, okay, you know, not the biggest deal in the world.
But 600 meters, 700 meters.
You get out to distance, now you're talking about a significant difference, inches. Right? You know, a significant difference to where it can push you off target. Right. And then you're talking about a 55 grain bullet. Well, you know, when it gets talking about BC and the ballistic coefficient of those rounds, right, you want to get that BC as high as you can to a certain degree, so that you're taking advantage of what the bullet can do when it comes to environmental factors. Right. So spending money on ammunition, like the highest level, they're loading their own ammunition. Right. And then you've got, you know, companies like Eagle Eye and some other companies out there that basically load ammunition to a hand load level.
So they'll do like load development for your specific rifle.
There are companies that do that.
I know Barnes here does it.
You know, there are companies out there, you can send them your rifle. And like, this is what I want. This is where I'm competing or whatever. And they will develop a load for you and then send you the ammo. Right. So, you know, that's at the highest level. Right. So like, I typically choose to shoot Eagle Eye because Justin makes incredible ammo and it's insanely accurate. We'll get SDs typically in the 4, 5, 6 range, and extreme spreads are typically under 20. Right. With that type of ammo, you're taking away the excuse, well, it's the ammo. No, most likely it's not. Right. So, you know, and then you can get into like match grade ammo from like, you know, the Hornadies and Burgers and, you know, Federal and some of these other, you know, companies that are out there that are making high quality ammo. Right. So the ammo matters when it comes to long range precision. Well,
and the ammo's response, your weapon's response to specific ammo.
Sure.
So like your weapon doesn't necessarily, you know, there's some Sons of Liberty rifles that shoot really well with really hot 77. And then there's some that like, if you run 55, that's all they want to eat is 55 grain ammo.
I mean, when I get a new rifle, I'll go through a whole litany of different types of ammo to see what it wants from different manufacturers to different grain weights and all that kind of stuff, because, you know, like you said, different barrels will like different ammunitions. So and you'll find one like, oh wow, like didn't expect that. And it's shooting lights out with the, you know, 77 grain, or then all of a sudden you got another barrel and it just loves 69s because it's a little bit faster or whatever it may be, the twist rate or however, you know, the barrel length and all these other things that come into play. So you know, ammunition, when it comes to taking your abilities to the next level, like it absolutely can make a difference.
So I didn't have any experience with this until really when we went to Mammoth. I went to Mammoth with Jared, and Jared, I shot one of his rifles. He loaded a pretty sure it was a 223 round. I don't remember if it was 5.56 or 223. But he did hand loads for it, and it was a load developed for that rifle specifically with a standard deviation. I think was 5 on all of them, and the extreme spread is exactly what you're saying, was like 20. The accuracy that I was able to get out of that rifle was incredible. It made such a big difference. And until I actually I'd heard it, but until you actually shoot it, feel the difference and see the performance difference, once you've gotten to that level and that capability, some shooters that are just starting out, they're like, I need 77 grain ammo. It's like, you can't hit the fucking cardboard. What do you need?
I mean, you know, like, cause I mean, me and Justin joked, it's like, you know, people want to go in, cause Eagle Eye, it's expensive ammo for a reason. Right. It's basically hand loaded ammunition. there are plenty of people that would be better off taking the money that would have cost to buy that ammo and go buy a course.
Yeah, go to a training course. Yeah.
And get some training on, the fundamentals and all those types of things. So, there are, some ways to go about it, but like, some people would benefit more from like coming to this course, like the long range course, and learning the fundamentals and then being able to take advantage of higher quality ammo.
Yep.
Because if you don't have the fundamentals and don't understand some of the basics,
you're wasting money.
You're just wasting money.
Yeah. You're at $1.20 a round. You're just back into.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah.
All right. So after the course, we've got you basically just hanging out for a week.
Yeah, hanging out,
bumming around here.
I'm gonna come in here and crush everything.
and then we've got Sniper Challenge.
Yep.
So who's your partner for Sniper Challenge?
Nathan Drum.
Did we talk about this in the last time? I don't think we did.
Maybe not. I'm not sure.
Nate is Nate's one of my favorite guys to hang out with.
Good dude.
You're gonna have a great time with him.
We're gonna destroy everybody.
And when shit sucks, he's a fun guy to be around.
Oh yeah, always a good attitude, man. Yeah, just had a baby.
Yeah,
so
he's gonna be really excited to get out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it.
You're gonna catch him napping a lot.
Yeah, I'm like, hey man, it's time to go. But what do you mean? Like, we get to the next stage, brother. Like, it's like, oh, all right. No, I'm super excited about it. I think we're gonna do really well. I mean, I'm shooting the same gun that I shot at NASTI.
Yep.
It's a little different because I had an action issue.
Yeah.
But so I'll be hammering away with that, and he's got the 5.56. So, and he's doing some hand loads for his. So he gets into hand loading, all that kind of stuff. So, we just got to go out and execute.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Anything that you guys are nervous about, or like, is there a specific style of stage that you're like, shit, I really hope this doesn't pop up?
For me personally, no.
No.
I mean, if it challenges me more than anything that NASTI did, like, oh god, hats off to you, brother.
Then I figured something.
Yeah,
out.
you've done well. Because a lot of the competitions that I shoot at, like, at USASOC, it's they, good lord, they throw everything at you. You're like, where did you come up with that? And so anything from like, you mentioned like we're gonna have potentially have to mill targets and things of that nature. Awesome. I love it. I'm all about it. Right. So anything of that, like building positions, getting out of positions, cool. All right. Let's do it. So whatever it is, like, I'm excited about it. I love the challenge. I hope I get my butt whooped, because that's how you get better.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's awesome. So speaking of getting your butt whooped and preparing and getting ready and being challenged, nationals.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. Earlier, I was in there working out, and you had a phone call you had to come to, and you missed.
Oh, the Metcon. That was. Yeah. It's weird how I missed that. That's
weird. Anyways, no, I'm super excited, man. Yeah. It's because last year was kind of a disappointment for me. We talked about that. And, so I've been training hard, and at 40 it sucks. So, but I'm looking forward to it, man. I've been training real hard. I've been being very deliberate in my training.
Yep.
And just because of the experience that I've gained from, competing and nationals and kind of understanding the expectations and what to expect. And, so it's been good. I feel great. And I'm ready to get after it, man. I think it's going to be an incredible event, especially how much it's grown and it's continuing to grow. So, and it's also going to be awesome that it's all at one spot.
Yeah, no shit.
So
awesome for you. Yeah, it's way more awesome for me.
yeah. So I can't wait, man. And I love seeing all the guys.
Yeah,
it's always a good time. So to go out there and throw down with each other and make sure we all dethrone the champ. So yeah, it's time.
It's time. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, Jacob. I love you dearly. I don't want you to lose. No,
he does.
So what's I just lost my train of thought. We'll have to edit that part out.
He's like, no.
Oh, I know what I was going to go at. All right. So what are some of the companies that support you? Like, who do you shoot for? Who's kind of pushing you down this road?
Yeah. So, obviously Born Primitive being the big one that's been incredible.
Yeah.
The level of support I get from them and like Bruno and those people over there is amazing. They're great people, actually make really good clothing. I love their stuff, which has been a blessing. So they've been severely supportive. Anything I've ever needed, right there for me. So they're a big one. JP Rifles, shooting their rifles. They make great stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to not be upset with their stuff. So
I put a silent capture spring, their adjustable gas block system, and their low mass BCG in one of my rifles. I've got like an 18-inch like DMR, and I've shot the low mass BCG. I've shot the silent capture spring. I don't think I've ever shot their adjustable gas block, but as a system, I was incredibly impressed with felt recoil.
Oh yeah.
On that system.
Oh, it makes a huge difference. I mean, I've been using JP's products like well before this stuff ever happened, just the silent capture springs and all that kind of stuff. It's when you can tune that system, especially once you figure out which ammo you want to run and then you tune that system specifically to that, man, you can make a really flat shooting rifle. Yeah. And they've got a great system there with all their stuff. So, and it's incredibly well made.
So one of the things with that, you know, when you start tuning, right, you start to take a duty rifle and you turn it into more of a performance rifle or like, you know, a gamer rifle, right? Talk about like your experience with that. And I mean, when you get into that and then you add in environmentals, rain, sand, all of the bullshit that we deal with at our competitions, you're going to induce some failures into your rifle. So the knowledge base and the understanding of like how you combat that when you build a rifle like that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's that bleeding edge of, you know, ultra performance and versus reliability.
Exactly.
Right. So, you know, there's a fine line between it, and obviously with what we do, like you said, like we're absolutely introducing some elements into that weapon system that can cause malfunctions. And so having an understanding of that and being in places where my gun gets very, very dirty, you have to be squared away when it comes to your maintenance. And knowing the failure points. And so knowing that, it's like when I come off a stage and for some reason, like when in South Carolina, for example, it was a mud bath, right? So it's like, I knew that. So I was like, okay, I need to take this out and wipe that down, or I need to go look at this and make sure this is okay. And, you know, so you know where the failure points are. And so I always make sure that when I'm off a stage, I take apart my pistol or my rifle, or especially in the pistol with the magazines. If you're shooting like, you know, 2011s type stuff, their magazines are really susceptible to it. But I mean, even, you know, the AR-15 mags, you know, the mag pulls or the Lancers, whatever you're shooting, like stuff's going to get in there. And when you're dropping it to where we are and like
sand and dirt,
whatever it is, man, you have to be, yes, you're tired. And yes, you're thinking about the next stage, but if you go into that next stage and you haven't done the necessary maintenance to make sure your equipment is good to go,
and your semi-auto goes to a single shot,
you're going to have a really bad day, you know, when the gun goes down. Right. And it happens a lot. I see it happen all the time to people. So it's, you know, I know that. And so that's literally one of the first things I do is equipment check. All right, how are we here? Look at this. Do I need to throw some more lube on the pistol? You know, do I need to break my rifle down and make sure things are good? Like, and you're checking some failure points. And I mean, unless you're running like really hot ammo, you don't have to worry about some of it, but it just depends on how far you've gone into that performance side of things versus the reliability side of things. So, and you know, JP's really good about that. I haven't had any issues with that. So, as well as, you know, my pistol. So, you know, it's just making sure that you're switched on when it comes to after I came out of stage. All right, I literally just took a mud bath. We need to go through everything. Right. So, you know, or if it was super dusty, right, maybe you don't want to run as much lubrication in your system because
you're going to pick up more.
You're going to pick up more. Right. So, you know, like with the bolt action, like if I know I'm going to an area, maybe like where we're going to be at, and it's going to be super dusty and windy, maybe I'll run it a little bit drier. So then I can just take some air, compressed air, and blow it out. Right. Because you'll hear people that run a lot of lube and that dust sticks to that, and it's just like, sounds like grit going through their action. Right. And it's not a good look. So, you know, just having that awareness of where you are and what can happen if you do some things.
And the thing that and it's not a worry, but I see every once in a while is people try to buy performance without having an understanding of what that weapon system actually is.
Oh, sure.
And like, if you buy a Lamborghini, Lamborghinis have maintenance that need to be done on them.
And typically more.
Exactly. Oh, way more than what a standard,
typically
like
way
your
more.
Honda Civic and your Lamborghini maintenance schedules are a little bit different.
Oh man, you can treat a Honda like crap. That thing will run for 500,000 miles.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But you don't get your oil changed on your Ferrari, man, it's going to be a bad day. Right. So it's, you know, I saw a guy at a local match that whipped out a brand new Terran Tactical TTI Sand Viper. It's like a $8,000 or $10,000 pistol. and he did bad. And I watched him, and the gun was all caked up and just, things, and he was having jamming issues. And I looked at it, I said, man, this is an incredible pistol, my man, but you need to I think you need to
You skipped like 20 steps.
I was like, I think you need to understand what's going on here. You're missing targets down range that are only 10 yards away from you and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, maybe you went a little too deep on the performance side.
Yeah.
And maybe you spent, half, maybe even 3/4 of that money and gone and got some training.
Yes.
Right. And you would have significantly benefited from that over just going and buy like the literal Rolls Royce of pistols.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
Any other sponsors that are helping you out?
Yeah. So Gators, for eye protection, I love the Gator stuff. They're super light on the face, and they're ballistically rated, so I really enjoy them. Love the styles. They look great. Sound gear is another one for hearing protection. I was constantly having issues with my ears popping out.
Oh yeah.
With, some of the moldable ones, and, I would be on the line, all of a sudden, pow. Oh, all right. Yeah. Yeah. That one slipped out, and the stuff that they sent me now, that I've got the custom molded ones, and I've got the digital ones, the electronic versions, as well as just the plugs that go in with the filters. And I mean, I ran the electronic ones all through the NASTI. I've worn them at multiple, events now. Training, I'll wear them, and they're incredible. Like,
that's great.
Never slip out, no issues whatsoever. So I'm really happy with those, which is nice to find some ears, because I mean, I'm tired of my ears ringing. They do all the time. So that was a good find. But yeah, for the most part, those are my peoples.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
It's good that you've got people out there that are taking care of you and helping you through on this adventure.
Oh, you have to, man. Like this, to do it at the level, to be like in the elite level, and to be competitive,
to be competing for the national championship.
Yeah, like it takes a significant amount of training, like the ammunition that I go through, it's in all those types of things, and the support I get from my gym back home, Rome Strength and Fitness, like they take care of me.
Yep.
Give me a place to call home and go in there and thrash weights while everyone stare at me like a crazy person. It's like, so, super supportive there. And, so it takes a lot of support, because unless you were just, you got a money tree growing somewhere, I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah, so it takes a lot of support from a lot of good people that believe in you, and then you just got to go out and produce. So I take it very seriously. I want to do well for these companies because they've invested in me. So I make sure I invest in myself to go out and make sure I can compete and take home podiums.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to watching it at Nationals. Anything else you want to leave us with before you go?
I don't think so, man.
All right, let's go. Well, we'll see you on the range this weekend, and excited to see what you do at Sniper Challenge. Hopefully, get up on that podium.
Yeah, Sean and Greg are going down.
All right.